What if you could really measure aspects of your mind?
Mm.
Get a clearer picture, maybe even a number, for something as complex as personality or intelligence.
It's a powerful idea, isn't it? Trying to bring some quantitative understanding to the incredibly rich landscape of human psychology.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Mm.
We're taking a look at the world of psychometric tests, guided by a key source. We've been exploring a really comprehensive deep dive into IQ and personality assessments.
Our goal in this deep dive, for you, is to pull out the essential nuggets. What are these tools? Why are they so widespread, particularly in areas like hiring?
Right.
What do they actually claim to tell us? And most importantly, I think, what insights can this material offer about understanding yourself and your own potential through these concepts?
So think of this as a shortcut, maybe, to being well-informed about these ways of measuring the mind.
Yeah.
We'll cover the two big types, the personality questionnaires and the aptitude tests.
And along the way, we'll unpack some fascinating insights the source provides on everything from how you handle stress, how you connect with others, what factors might truly drive success, the nature of creativity, and even, perhaps surprisingly, how your personality might play out in high-pressure, highly public scenarios like reality TV.
Okay, let's jump in then. According to the source material,
Mhm.
what's the fundamental definition of a psychometric test? What are we even talking about here?
Well, the definition the source highlights, I believe it's from the British Psychological Society.
Mhm.
They call it an instrument designed to produce a quantitative assessment of some psychological attribute or attributes.
Okay, quantitative assessment.
Yeah, the core idea is putting a number or a measurable value on psychological traits.
So you get a score or rating, something you can compare or analyze numerically.
Exactly.
That ties right into the name, psycho, meaning mind, metric, meaning measure, tools for measuring the mind.
Precisely. And while modern tests developed more recently, the idea of trying to categorize human differences isn't exactly new.
No.
The source gives a brief nod back to ancient attempts, like Hippocrates defining temperaments around 400 BC. But the tests we're discussing really took shape around the turn of the 20th century.
And fast forward to today, and they're used widely, especially by employers. What's the driving force behind that?
The source is quite clear on this. It's the high cost of hiring errors.
Ah, okay.
Getting the wrong person in a job isn't just inconvenient, it's expensive. You're looking at the cost of having to re-advertise the position, re-interviewing a whole new set of candidates, retraining someone new, plus the potential legal and operational headaches if it doesn't work out, dealing with contracts, or even the negative impact of personality conflicts on existing teams.
So businesses see these tests as a way to gain a more objective layer of information alongside interviews and resumes,
Right.
trying to improve the odds of a good match from the start.
Precisely. They offer data points on things that are harder to gauge in a standard interview. Knowledge, underlying motivations, specific personality tendencies, and, raw potential abilities.
But here's where the source makes a really crucial point, something that feels like a core nugget.
What's that?
You absolutely have to look at personality and aptitude tests together.
Oh, this is vital. Yes. A high score on an aptitude test might tell you someone can do the job based on their skills or intelligence.
Right.
But the source emphasizes that success isn't just about capability. If someone is incredibly capable but intensely dislikes the nature of the work, or their personality clashes severely with the required interactions or environment, well, they're unlikely to thrive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Success depends just as much on personal qualities, attitude, and how someone is wired.
That shifts the focus, doesn't it? It's not just can you do it, but will you want to do it and will you fit doing it?
Exactly. Skill is essential, but enjoyment and fit unlock potential.
Absolutely. With that in mind, let's spend some time unpacking what the source reveals about personality. How does it frame this complex concept?
Well, it describes personality as the patterns of thought, feeling, and behavior that are unique to every one of us.
Okay.
It's essentially what makes you you, and it suggests a degree of predictability in how you might react, although the source quickly acknowledges that real life is much more nuanced than a test score can fully capture.
Sure, has to be.
And personality is seen as something shaped by a combination of factors, both what you inherit, heredity and the environment you grow up in, with certain developmental periods potentially having lasting effects.
Now, the main tool here is the personality questionnaire. The source notes, they're different from ability tests.
Right.
There's no pass or fail, usually no time limit. They're exploring attitudes, habits, and values.
And the key advice from the source, if you're taking one, be honest.
Really, not try to guess the right answer.
No, trying to second guess what you think the desired answer is for a specific job is often counterproductive. Test designers include checks, like asking similar questions in different ways that can spot inconsistency.
Ah,
Answering truthfully provides the most accurate reflection of you.
that makes sense. Trying to game the test probably just results in a confused or contradictory profile.
Exactly.
Let's dig into some of the specific personality dimensions the source explores. They offer insights based on different score levels. Take, for instance, coping under pressure.
Okay, yeah. The source discusses common stress, triggers things you can plan for, like exams versus unexpected crises, the double or triple whammy of life events like bereavement, divorce, job loss, or illness happening at once.
Like the big stuff.
Yeah. And typical responses include things like sleep disruption, irritability, heightened worry.
Familiar territory for many, I'm sure. And the source offers practical strategies for dealing with this, which feel like real takeaways.
It does. Things like building awareness of your stress signs, proactive prevention where possible, physical outlets like exercise, ensuring good sleep, consciously switching off from work, taking breaks, and just generally prioritizing your physical and mental health. Basic stuff, but crucial.
Definitely.
The assessment insights the source describes paint a picture across a spectrum. Someone scoring high might be described as coping extremely well, being naturally relaxed, able to keep challenges in proportion, though still needing to plan for unavoidable pressures.
Okay.
On the other end, a low scorer might be affected in a negative way, experiencing pressure that builds up, blowing things out of proportion, maybe worrying about hypothetical problems that never happen.
Right.
The source suggests for lower scorers, it's about finding measured approaches, making time for enjoyable activities, avoiding self-criticism, and maintaining physical fitness.
It's interesting how it frames it less as a fixed state and more about a tendency and strategies to manage it.
Exactly. Let's look at another dimension, being a people person. This assessment captures where you fall on the introversion-extroversion spectrum, among other social dynamics. High scorers might be labeled more as loners, perhaps comfortable with a small circle, but needing to consciously recognize their interdependence with others and maybe work on empathy.
And the low scorers.
Low scorers are the classic people. They enjoy observing, assessing, and interacting with others, thrive in social settings, are often good team players, and naturally express warmth and empathy.
Is there a downside to that?
Well, the caveat for the low scorer is to be mindful of potentially seeming intrusive due to their, forwardness.
Ah, okay. And the source notes, the middle ground people who are fair, treat others equally, are generally well-liked and respected, but don't necessarily feel the need to delve into everyone's life story.
Yeah, a balanced approach.
The source also touches on something practical, asking for what you want.
Right, assertiveness. It breaks down effective assertiveness into key components. Careful planning, choosing the right timing, thoughtful phrasing, your underlying attitude, and even your body language. It highlights that these elements combined are crucial for getting your needs met constructively.
Simple things, but easy to overlook when you're put on the spot.
Very easy. Then there's the perennial question. The secret of success. What's the source's take?
Well, basically that there isn't one single secret.
Exactly. It's a blend of factors. The assessments might contrast those primarily driven by career advancement, higher scores, with those who prioritize overall happiness and fulfillment, lower scores. And the source points out that success itself means wildly different things to different people. A stable job, reaching the very top, or achieving fame and fortune,
Absolutely. And for those pursuing ambitious goals, the source offers very practical advice.
Yeah, things like set clear goals, engage in forward planning, crucially, take action, monitor your progress, and remain flexible to adapt as needed.
It's less about a secret formula and more about disciplined effort.
Precisely. Related to that is how content are you? The source categorizes contentment levels revealed by tests. High scores are generally satisfied. Medium scores feel satisfied, but perhaps sense they could achieve more. And low scorers are, discontented.
And for those low on contentment, the source offers a powerful nugget.
Yeah, the need to step back, consciously focus on the positives, even simple ones like having a steady job, a stable family, or hobbies.
Practice gratitude.
Exactly. Practicing gratitude and gaining perspective, remembering that someone is always facing greater challenges.
Important perspective. The test exploring being a control freak offers an interesting twist.
How so?
A low score on this scale is the opposite. Definitely not a control freak, very laid back, comfortable going with the flow.
Okay.
But the source cautions that this can leave them susceptible to being dominated.
Ah, I see.
The reminder here is important. You are your own person, and your decisions are fundamentally yours to make.
That's a great insight. Sometimes the lack of a trait has its own challenges.
Definitely. What about our relationship with change? Forward-looking or stuck in a time warp?
This explores how open you are to new things. High scorers embrace change and new technology. Medium scorers find a balance, valuing the past but not fearing the future or resisting change.
And low scores.
Low scorers are resistant, often sentimental about the past. The source's take, change is inevitable.
It certainly feels that way.
And actively embracing it, like learning new technology, can actually enrich your life, not just complicate it.
Resisting the tide can be exhausting. How about how soft-centered are you? This sounds like it explores emotional sensitivity.
It does. At one end, very high scorers might be extremely romantic and caring, often liked and respected, but they might be prone to being taken advantage of if they struggle to set boundaries.
Okay.
The middle ground is someone generally soft-centered but tough enough to pursue their ambitions, a real softie at heart perhaps, but not easily pushed over.
And the other end.
At the other end, low scorers might present a hard nut exterior. The source muses this could be an act. They might not be overtly romantic, but they are often respected for their directness. The advice for them is to consciously consider others' feelings and practice empathy.
That's a great example of how these tests might reveal both outward presentation and inner disposition.
Yeah.
And the source gives advice for both ends of the spectrum. Attitude is next, and the source has a specific take on this.
It stresses that attitude isn't something you're born with. It's formed over time by experiences and influences.
Right.
The source introduces a concept from social psychology, the 4 functions attitudes serve. Knowledge, helping organize information. Value expressive, allowing us to show our values.
Okay.
Utilitarian, guiding us toward rewards and away from punishment. And ego defensive, protecting our self-image.
So assessments can reveal whether someone's attitude is generally very positive, has room for improvement, or shows potential problems.
Exactly. For those with lower scores, the source advises analyzing why they have negative attitudes and considering negative influences they might need to address.
And a really practical nugget on attitude from the source.
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm, right.
Yeah. Enthusiasm is key, particularly in roles involving interaction, like customer service. A positive, enthusiastic attitude can make a huge difference.
Makes total sense. Connecting attitude to outlook, there's optimist or pessimist.
The source specifically looks at the low scorer here, describing them as a born pessimist.
Ouch.
They are often perceived as negative, and they can suffer internally with turmoil and sleepless nights. While pessimism might seem like a defensive shield, preparing for the worst.
Yeah.
The source points out that excessive worry itself is a major source of stress and can even contribute to negative outcomes actually happening.
A powerful reminder of the mind-body connection there.
Definitely. How about working with others? Being a good team player.
Okay.
The source analyzes what makes a team effective: a clear purpose that resonates with its members, the ability to respond constructively to challenges, which itself motivates the team, strong camaraderie, a sense of shared responsibility, and opportunities for individual and collective growth.
Sounds like an ideal team. The assessment scores here range from highly individualistic, low, to being a solid team player, medium,
Right.
to showing potential leadership qualities, high.
And the source ends this section with a fantastic takeaway. Life itself is largely a team game. Cooperation is almost always more productive than isolation, and by contributing to a team's growth, you inevitably learn and broaden your own perspective, aiding your personal growth too.
That flips the script. It's not just what you do for the team, but what being in a team does for you.
Well put. Assertiveness is another key trait.
Right. We touched on asking for what you want.
Exactly. The source links assertiveness directly to self-respect and maintaining a sense of control. It's not about winning every argument, but about standing up for your rights and expressing your needs respectfully.
Okay.
Losing control, according to the source, often means you've lost the argument regardless of who is right.
Interesting point. The scores reflect varying levels.
Yeah. Very assertive, knows their rights, asks for them, but needs to balance demands with compassion. Balanced assertiveness, the ideal, maintaining self-esteem while finding compromise. And lack of assertiveness, knows their rights but struggles to ask or say no. For low scorers, the practical advice is simple but profound. Analyze why you find it difficult, and remember, there is never any harm in asking.
Good advice. Patience is explored as a valuable trait, too.
High patience is described as a life's bonus, smoothing interactions and helping with complex tasks. Those low on patience are often dynamic and quick to move on, which can be useful but might limit depth of achievement.
Right.
The source notes patience isn't universal. You might be patient with tasks, but not people, or vice versa, and suggests self-analysis and conscious practice can genuinely improve it.
Now, for a completely unexpected example the source uses to illustrate personality, the Big Brother question.
Yes, the reality show.
I was surprised to see this.
Me too. It's presented as a case study in observing personality under extreme conditions. The source describes the premise isolating contestants, constant filming, public voting. It quotes a psychologist who found it fascinating to watch personalities develop and interact under that specific kind of pressure cooker environment.
So the assessment insights relate to suitability for being on the show.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
A high scorer has potential success if they are willing to bear all and can handle intense media attention. A medium scorer might survive if they simply be yourself, finding acceptance for who they are. A low scorer is definitely not suited.
Okay.
The source's broader point here is that being true to your character is crucial, not just on a reality show, but in life.
Right.
And the show is, in a bizarre way, an exaggerated mirror of some real-world social dynamics.
It's a memorable way to illustrate how specific traits manifest under stress and public scrutiny.
Definitely. The source also circles back to being a career person, reinforcing that a low score means someone whose job is only part of their identity, not the whole source of self-worth, often prioritizing happiness and fulfillment over purely professional ascent.
Finally, the source touches on the concept of obsessiveness within personality profiling.
Yeah, it defines it as an idea or thought that persistently occupies the mind, feeling beyond one's control. The source notes that in its more severe forms, it's classified as an anxiety disorder characterized by repetitive, intrusive thoughts, images, or ideas that cause significant distress.
Wow. So the personality section, as presented in this source, gives you a framework to look at dozens of different facets of self,
Right.
offering insights into tendencies and potential areas for self-awareness or growth,
Yeah.
backed up by these assessment profiles.
Exactly. It moves beyond just a label or a score, providing context and potential strategies based on where you might fall on various scales.
Okay, that gives us a robust picture of how these tests approach personality.
Yeah.
Let's transition now to the other major type, aptitude tests, and specifically IQ.
Right. Aptitude tests are different from personality questionnaires because they are scored based on correctness. They measure specific cognitive abilities, things like verbal reasoning, numerical understanding, logical thinking, and spatial or diagrammatic skills.
And IQ tests are a well-known type of aptitude test. The source defines IQ, or intelligence quotient, as an age-related measure. Historically, for children, it was calculated as 100 multiplied by mental age divided by chronological age.
Right. For adults, it's based on comparison to a standardized average score set at 100.
The history is interesting, too. Binet and Simon.
Yeah, starting with Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon in 1905, who developed tests to identify children needing extra help in Paris schools. Later, Louis Terman at Stanford refined it, coined the term intelligence quotient, and developed the widely used Stanford-Binet test.
Now, the source makes a significant point about IQ itself.
What's that?
It suggests that core IQ itself is influenced by heredity and tends to be relatively stable from around age 18. You can't dramatically change your fundamental IQ score, apparently.
But, and this is the key takeaway for aptitude tests specifically.
Yeah.
You know, your performance on these kinds of tests can absolutely be improved with practice.
Okay.
By becoming familiar with the types of questions, understanding the underlying patterns, and working through examples, you get better at the test itself, even if your core cognitive horsepower remains constant.
That's a crucial distinction and a very actionable insight.
Yeah.
It means preparing for these tests isn't futile. You can definitely sharpen your performance.
Absolutely.
The source gives some great examples of the kinds of problems you might face.
They cover a wide range. There are visual puzzles, like figuring out which shape comes next in a sequence or how a flat net folds into a 3D cube.
Spatial reasoning?
Exactly. There are logic problems, complex number or letter sequences based on tricky rules, spatial puzzles with logical constraints, or ranking things based on given information. The source mentions one clever logic puzzle where a number indicates how many adjacent digits it shares with, requires careful deduction.
Tricky. And verbal challenges.
Yeah, tasks like rearranging letters within a phrase to create new words, identifying synonyms or antonyms, solving analogies, A is to B as C is to D, or unscrambling letters into meaningful words. The take good care of example is a classic.
I think I remember that one.
And of course, numerical problems calculations involving fractions or percentages, time-awaited distance calculations, sequences based on arithmetic or algebraic rules, and puzzles that require careful reading and tracking, like the classic climber in the well problem, where you have to follow their progress inch by inch, accounting for slippage.
Just hearing those examples highlights the variety. These tests aren't just math or vocabulary.
No.
They're testing different ways your brain processes information and solves problems. And the source's point is, you can train those muscles for the test.
Exactly. Familiarity reduces the mental load and helps you spot patterns faster.
So we've covered measuring personality, which is complex and multifaceted, and measuring specific abilities or aptitudes. But the source also expands our view beyond just these measurable traits, touching on areas like creativity and perception.
Right. Creativity is defined simply as bringing something new into existence.
Okay.
The source introduces a widely cited model by Graham Wallace, suggesting creativity happens in 4 stages: preparation, gathering information, working on the problem; incubation, stepping away, letting it simmer subconsciously; illumination, the sudden aha moment when the solution appears; and verification, testing and refining the idea.
The famous aha moment.
Yeah.
And the source connects creativity to brain function.
It does, linking it more strongly to the right hemisphere, which is often considered more intuitive and holistic compared to the left hemisphere's focus on logic, language, and analysis.
Right brain, left brain.
Yeah, but the point isn't one is better, but that both are needed: the right to generate the novel idea, the left to structure and verify it. For those who feel very left brain dominant, the source offers ideas for encouraging the right brain, like finding ways to let the left side relax, perhaps, during a long commute.
Interesting.
And using techniques like free writing, where you just let ideas flow without immediate judgment, allowing the right hemisphere to work before the left steps in to edit.
And they suggest simple exercises to practice this, like taking an everyday object, say a brick, and forcing yourself to brainstorm as many unusual new uses for it as possible. It's about actively trying to think differently.
I like that. Shifting gears, the source also explores perception, that broad psychological term for how we understand ourselves, others, and the world.
This includes crucial aspects like empathy, being able to perceive things from others' perspectives and understand them sympathetically, and self-recognition, having an accurate understanding of ourselves, flaws and all.
Issues with perception often come down to things like stereotyping or simply being unable to see things from multiple viewpoints. The source uses the classic visual illusion, the Necker cube,
Oh yeah, the box?
which you can perceive as flipping inwards or outwards, to illustrate how perception can shift and how 2 different interpretations of the same thing can both be valid. Understanding this is key, especially when trying to find compromise.
And a really powerful nugget from this section is the role of attention.
Yes. The source emphasizes that accurate perception requires focused, undivided attention, which is harder than we think.
It gives compelling real-world examples.
Like how eyewitnesses to the same event can have wildly different accounts because they focused on different details.
Right.
Or trick questions that rely on misdirection.
Like the longest river puzzle you mentioned.
Exactly. You're asked how many times the letter S appears in the name of the world's longest river. You automatically think about the Amazon or the Nile.
But wait.
But the trick is that the word Nile doesn't have an S. The irrelevant information, world's longest river, is what the source calls a MacGuffin, designed to pull your attention away from the simple linguistic question.
Ah, the MacGuffin. It perfectly illustrates how easily our attention can be manipulated or fail to focus on the critical detail.
Right. The source includes perception tests designed to sharpen these skills, paying attention to detail, spotting irrelevant information, avoiding those mental traps. The analysis of why people miss things, often due to these MacGuffins like in the bus driver or man's widow puzzles, is really insightful.
It makes you realize perception isn't passive. It's an active process influenced by what we choose or feel to focus on.
Yeah.
It's a skill you can potentially hone.
Absolutely. It's not just seeing, it's about processing, interpreting, and filtering information effectively.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We really have. We started by defining psychometric tests as tools designed to put a measure on psychological attributes,
Right.
understanding why they're used, and the crucial point that personality and aptitude need to be considered together.
We then explored a wide range of personality dimensions through the lens of the source's assessment insights, from coping with pressure and interacting with others to motivations for success, contentment, assertiveness, and even suitability for reality TV.
Yeah, that was memorable. We saw how the source breaks down these traits and offers practical advice based on different tendencies.
Then we moved into the realm of aptitude and IQ tests, noting that while core IQ is presented as stable, performance on these tests can improve significantly with practice,
A key point.
thanks to familiarity with diverse question types: visual, logic, verbal, and numerical.
And finally, we explored areas beyond strict measurement, looking at creativity, understanding its stages and how to potentially encourage it, and perception, highlighting the importance of empathy, multiple viewpoints, focused attention, and how easily our focus can be misled.
Right, those MacGuffins.
For you, the listener, these sources provide a rich framework. They offer language and concepts to think about the diverse aspects of what makes us human, how we're wired, what we're capable of.
It gives you a way to potentially analyze yourself, understand your own tendencies, your strengths, and maybe areas where you might face challenges or have room to grow.
More powerfully, I think, the material consistently suggests that many of these traits, attitudes, and abilities, especially areas like coping, attitude, creativity, and perception, aren't necessarily fixed.
Oh, set in stone.
No. They can be understood, analyzed, and potentially worked upon or developed over time.
So here's the thought to leave you with.
Okay.
If the very things these tests attempt to measure are, in many ways, not rigid endpoints, but rather starting points for self-awareness and potential development, what does that possibility mean for how you approach understanding and perhaps even reshaping your own mind?
Something to reflect on after this deep dive into measuring the mind.